Talking to many people, I saw this as a very interesting confusion that many people still have. They believe that issuing a privacy notice is as good as getting a consent, but that is not true. Let's discuss this in video. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you daily see new content on data privacy. And as I said, we'll talk about whether just issuing a notice, publishing a notice is good enough as a consent. Well, what privacy notice is? It's a simple way to act as a disclosure to your principals that this is the way we are going to process your personal data. By processing, we mean what we are collecting, why are we collecting it? So simple. You need to tell me the purpose why you want my personal information. You'll use it only for that purpose limitation. You'll collect only that you need, data minimization. But the most important, you'll seek my permission to process it, which is consent, right? So just informing me what are you going to do with my data is not consent. It's a notice that we are processing, which means collecting, using, storing, sharing with third parties, or deleting. The 5 basic pillars of privacy. These are the 5 things that we are going to do with your personal data, right? Information about that, telling your principals about that, how am I going to process it, whom am I going to share it with, where do you go if you are not satisfied with my method of processing the grievance cell within my organization and outside my organization, beyond my organization, acting as a transparent document or a document that adds transparency to the life of my principals is privacy notice, right? Of course, it's a mandate by regulators that you are collecting information, so you are not going to inform them about the exact details of what are you going to do with the notice. And notice, of course, if you are changing the process, if you are doing a new regulation has come up, you are expected to change your notice as well. Until less that if you are changing completely the way the data is being processed, or if you are changing or asking for more details, then you need to go back and seek permissions. And when you say seek permissions, right? So you've informed me what you are going to do of my data. Am I allowing you? That is what is seeking permission, and that is what is called consent. The data principal's permission to process his data, and by the way, you have defined the user's acknowledgement towards the purpose, the user's free, informed, and specific permission. You told me the purpose, I think about it, I inform back to you that I've understood the process, and for this process I am sharing my this personal information, very very specific both to the process and the purpose, right? Consent is irrevocable. At any stage, I can come back to you and say, hold on, I don't need this service. Please do not use my data any further. Right? It's a right that I have that I can revoke my consent. Of course, I can add on to right of deletion, right of to forgotten, etc. etc. Notice is not revocable. Notice is notice. Issued is issued, not revocable. Consent is not a process or an assumption that I have given the notice, so it's an agreement. No, you have to take a consent separately and issue a notice separately, and even consent is mandated by regulators. So, what happens as common mistakes, you can say, or misconceptions? People believe that issuing a notice is as good as taking a consent. Many of them might put a one all checkbox at the end of the notice and say, if you tick mark on this, it means that you are okay with the processing. Well, that is not consent. You may say that you acknowledge that you received the notice or you have understood the notice. Actually, you don't need to get an acknowledgement of receiving or understanding the notice, right? But even if still you want to put a check mark there, that's your choice. That does not mean that you have asked for a consent. Consent is a separate legal document, no pre-checked tick boxes, and so misconceptions include the fact that you are putting in ticked check boxes. You're not even specifying withdrawal process. Well, you are giving me the notice. I've given you the notice. Now you know how am I going to process it. What is there to withdraw in it, right? You have to give a withdrawal form or a withdrawal link separately. So an assumption that issuing a notice or a checkbox in notice is obtaining consent is wrong. Consent and notice are two separate documents. updated at separate situations, and have a different basic purpose itself. No grievance mentioning. Well, consent does not need to have grievance mentioned there. Notice does. Right? Grievance means you're not satisfied with my way of processing the information or the outcome of it. You can go to my DPO. If you're not satisfied with his response, you can go to the Data Protection Board of India or your respective country's Data Protection Board. What do the regulators expect? They expect you to understand that the privacy notice has to be easily accessible and readable and has to get updated every time you are making any changes in processes or if there are any changes in regulations. Consent is required for processing the data. Fine. Informing how we will use versus seeking your permission that are you okay is privacy versus consent. Record of consent, when did you provide, when did you log out, when did you revoke, has to be well maintained. Notice is what you tell your principals and consent is what they allow you to do with their information. So you need to respect both of them and you can't make them interchangeable, right? So finally, what are the best practices? Use a layered notice. Put in a summary, put hyperlinks. Any point that someone wants detailed, clicks there and reads the full document. Publish separate collection and separate consent forms. They cannot be same. Update your notice on any process or regulation change. If there's a change in the process, if there's a change in the regulation, please update your notice immediately. Provide a granular consent, which is free, specific, and informed. Have a withdrawable consent mechanism. Has to be. You don't have an option on these 2 points. Granular consent, free, specific, informed, withdrawable. These are the basics of having consent and basics of privacy. And of course, you have to log consent timestamps. Improper consent, not able to prove consent, 2% of your annual global turnover per GDPR and 250 crores by the Indian DPDP Act. So you need to be very careful. Don't mix your privacy notice with your consent. They are separate documents. Keep them separate. I hope you like the content of the video. Please press the bell and the like icon. Subscribe to my channel and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.